I've got two things for you today, kind of bolstered by my plausibility trap that you liked.
Oh, I love the plausibility trap, yeah.
This is something that I think everyone struggles with. I think a lot of people, they get attracted to fires in their business, and it feels good sometimes to go and extinguish them, and you get sucked in by the heat. I actually think if you're running something, or if you're just operating anywhere, there's really only two things that matter: the decisions that you make, and then how you execute those decisions. I've got two things for you today. They're bolstered by my plausibility trap that you liked.
Oh, I love the plausibility trap, yeah.
Do you know what? I think I've got one. The great thing about the plausibility trap, and just to give it a quick summary, is you do an idea that sounds plausible, but it's actually shit, but you've been trapped by the plausibility. So you waste a load of time going down this rabbit hole of something that sounds good, but actually is fundamentally flawed. You've essentially been trapped by plausibility. I think I might actually I've got something that I've acknowledged might be a plausibility trap. But as with all good plausibility traps, the trick is to know what is the trap, because it is, by definition, plausible. Do you want to hear it?
Yes.
So at Marketing Pros, we're working a lot on the product. And one of the things that we're looking at is not just finding the person and doing all of the legal compliance and that kind of thing, but also supporting them when they're in the business. So part of that is like community, and there's Slack, and if there's a fucking HR problem, we deal with it. But what we want to move towards is part of it is like technical. So, we place a salesperson or a content writer in a business, and we actually support them to succeed technically. So like with a content writer, we might give them some training. We will, maybe check their work, check in on them, set them targets, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And we've done it a few times now, and it works well. Like their performance is better, as you can imagine. But obviously, my concern is two things. One, just the time and resource of doing that versus just placing someone is obviously way, way higher. And two, yes, we might be able to improve their performance, but are we just taking it from a level that's kind of, it would have been good anyway, but now we're just making it unbelievable. But actually, commercially, we're just so over delivering that it's unnecessary, and we just waste a load of time and resource doing this rather than just focusing on the placements. Could be a plausibility, because it sounds plausible, doesn't it? We're going to wrap around this ecosystem. We're going to give them technical support. It works. Brilliant, plausible. Is it a trap, Rich?
I mean, how I would assess that is, what are things like churn like? What's your retention like of the people that are placed and left, if you will? Not left, but placed and don't necessarily get that wraparound, compared to people that are placed and then supported and grown. Because if you are finding that you've got, placed people who are 6 months, but you might get 12 months out of the people that you teach and mature, then it's plausible, because you're earning more revenue, more retention. Your staff that you're putting in are considered higher value, and therefore Marketing Pros is considered higher value. So I'd be looking at probably churn. I'd be looking at churn from also the company, but also those people working for Marketing Pros, because it's not people who want to develop their career want to make sure that they are guided in their career and project managed in their career and see opportunities. So if they believe that Marketing Pros is a great place for them to go and excel and go and learn and extend themselves, they'll probably want to come and join you. So I think your early acquisition of talent, if you can kind of get that reputation, will probably be boosted.
Do you want to hear two more models that I've got? And I want to see what you think about these.
Definitely.
So number one, this is something that I think everyone struggles with, and I really struggle with this, but I've got better over time. I think a lot of people get attracted to fires in their business. Like people are just, there's fires burning here. You know about this fire here. You know about this fire here. and it feels good sometimes to go and extinguish them, and you get sucked in by the heat. I think the best operators will just let those fires burn, and they'll just say, fuck it, I can't fix that right now. It is a problem, but I can't fix it. Because I see people all the time, they go into work, they get started, there's a problem. They do a really good job of spending 90 minutes going in solving it. But like, if you triage that problem, it is not what they should be working on. So what I try to do is I try to just have 3 things a week that I have to solve. Sounds basic, is basic. But I'll give you an example. For me, at the moment, marketing pros is the one again. We've got a contract, a client-facing contract. Definitely needs work, not only in like what's in it, but it needs work in how we present it and the tech we use and all of that kind of stuff. And I've got people saying to me that we do need to sort this out, and they're completely right. And I'm like, I can't leave this 3 weeks, but I am going to have to leave it till next week. Like, I know I could solve that in 3 hours, but there's just other shit that I have to do. So I just have to remove that fire from my mind, fucking place it somewhere else, even though I desperately want to solve it. Because that's what happens to me. I desperately want to solve stuff. Someone comes with a problem, but just got to let the fires burn, haven't you, Rich?
Focus and prioritization, then, isn't it? I mean, it's that fire stuff it can be I can honestly lose sometimes days to it, particularly if there's one example. We had a classic example. Ben was on leave, and this was a production issue that was raised to us. So something was raised to both of us, but Ben was on leave, so I stepped into it to kind of help, to cover the bases, if you will. 6 hours over a day and a half I spent trying to uncover the problem. And, the problem was, the thinking behind it was challenging, to say the least. But it was a fire that I felt I had to go and tend to because I couldn't do anything about it. But it took 6 hours.
I actually think if you're running something or if you're just operating anywhere, there's really only 2 things that matter. The decisions that you make, so micro, day-to-day, but then sort of strategic, and then how you execute those decisions. I think that's all that matters. What advice gets given a lot is, people say, stay calm, seek advice, and some people are very fiery, and some people are very calm, and some people are methodical, and some people do it on gut feeling. And people try to analyze these inputs into like, what's the best way to do it? Like, I sometimes say to myself, like, don't get rattled, stay calm. The best people are calm. All of this is just fucking nonsense. It doesn't actually matter if you're calm or not calm. What matters is if you make a good decision. And sometimes you need to be calm to make a good decision. Sometimes being rattled and riled up by something is helpful. Now, clearly, if you can stay level-headed and calm and do all of that, you're probably going to make better decisions. And there's probably correlation. But I've got a lot of very calm people that make very shit decisions I know of.
You've Alex Ferguson hairdryed someone, haven't you? You've given him the full hairdryer.
I wish I could. It's not my personality to do hairdryers.
What's happened to Doug? What's happened to Doug? He used to be so calm and serene. He used to bring us sandwiches. Now all he's doing is bringing us hate. Now listen, I am someone that has got I've got a sharp tongue when I'm frustrated, definitely. And I've never been shy to tell people what I think, ever. It's not often got me into very good situations, to be honest with you. It's not something that, as a tool, that I've wielded very effectively. And I think that decision-making confidence, because there's a confidence and a belief in making decisions and to be able to go, this is what we need to do. So I believe you can be tetchy. I believe you can say, no, we're hitting this, guys. And you can be firm. You can say, what's your decision-making process for that? Why have you come to that? Did you not think about this, this, and this? That's fine, because you don't need to mollycoddle and rat and cotton wool the whole time. But if you're going to make, particularly company-wide communication, take a breath. Understand what your audience is going to do. How are they going to interpret you? How are they going to perceive you? Because that impacts everything about how they'll follow you and how they'll follow the business and the culture that you're creating. But I do believe you can make quick decisions, and I do believe you can be quite firm in those decisions. It's a non-negotiable. That's what we're doing. Thank you very much for everybody. I appreciate your feedback.
I think that it's sort of, bottom line, whether you do it in a soft way Like, definitely, you're right. You need to execute it the execution's hard because you've got to get people on board and all of that kind of stuff. But there's a lot of people that are calm and have a good demeanor and do think and are clear and sort of take a moment and do all of those things and just make bad decisions. And a lot of people think that they're effective because the way they come across, but actually you have to it just boils down to the quality of people's decisions. And then how well that is executed, obviously. But I think my point is, I think that's how we should just judge people. Do they make the decisions? Do they execute well? It's hard to judge that, but what we shouldn't do is just like somebody's demeanor or dislike their demeanor and just use that as a sort of...
Yeah, and you'll see it throughout, because also some people just aren't capable or aren't as talented or capable as making decisions. They can't do the critical thinking. They don't necessarily have the confidence. They're paralyzed by their analysis. They don't make that move. That happens all over the show. And like I say, there's loads of lectures around it, decision-making theory.
Because what's quite easy to do and what a lot of people do in American football a lot, there's this big coach who I know, Bill Belichick, who I'm sure you know, who is like the New England Patriots head coach, and he carries himself in a certain way. And what a lot of coaches were doing is they were like trying to copy the way he spoke and the way that he carried himself. And actually, that's just quite easy. If you want to, in business, Steve Jobs is the classic. People are like, they look at how he carries himself and they think, if I come across the way he comes across, then I'll be successful. But that is literally, you need to give me an analogy here, but that is just layering stuff on shit. You're just dressing up shit. If your decision making and your understanding of how to do things is not good. So I think the best people are the people that don't come across amazingly, but are great at making decisions. They're not as easy to find. It's easier to find some plausible looking idiot than somebody that isn't maybe as plausible, but they're making great decisions underneath.
Yep.
Like in football, like some of these managers, you just think, God, that guy just seems a bit weird. Like Graham Potter, he used to manage Brighton and Chelsea. Just seems a bit weird. Nice guy, but is he really going to be able to manage all these egos? Didn't do a great job at Chelsea, but he's clearly a brilliant coach. But he just looks like a geography teacher, doesn't he? Doesn't you compare him to like Guardiola, who's just like, really like cool looking and really, really charismatic. But actually, some of these people that maybe don't have any of that, but just really know what they're doing, it can work. Like Postecoglou at Spurs just looks like he sweeps the streets or drives a taxi, but he's just a brilliant communicator, a brilliant tactician, really understands football. People respond to him.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing, isn't it? And people in business, people running business, they're forever going to have to make millions of decisions, micro decisions a day. How do you unearth the people that are the best decision makers? I guess over time you see it.
How good is your decision making out of 10? Micro and then medium term.
I think I actually make pretty good decisions because I've been in this so long. I think I understand what not to do pretty well. I understand what to do. I procrastinate over big decisions, but I seek advice. I never work in a silo ever. So I'll talk to my dad. I'll talk to Ben. I'll talk to you. I will gather lots of information around big things before I make a decision. As soon as I make a decision, that's it. So I think on the big stuff, I want my peers and my influencer network to kind of give me their shakedown so that I've got a very balanced opinion on stuff. But the micro stuff, I'm like, nope, this way. Because I feel I know what I'm doing. But on the stuff that I don't, I seek information 100%.
Okay. So out of 10, micro and macro?
Macro, 7 or 8. Micro, 9. Super rapid stuff, but it's quick stuff. It's like, what should we say in this meeting about this, this, and this? How do we prepare for it? All right, do this, do this, do this, do this. And invariably, it's just because you're experienced, you know what you're doing, you're comfortable and good at your job. If someone stuck me in to Forest training camp in Portugal and said, go and get those guys to run some technical things to improve their footwork, I'd be like, oh, fuck, I don't know what decision to make here. And they're all looking at me. They're all going, who's this joker? in his Fat Willie's hat, because I'd wear this.
It wouldn't go well. It'd
Yeah.
be relegated. Do as an outro then. You've got a hard stop in a minute.
I do have a hard stop. So, I don't know, Doug. You give us the outro.
You need a developer in your team. You're struggling to get projects over the line. You're struggling to get the capability you need. You're getting your absolute arse handed to you by some agency with want like a $20,000 or $30,000 intro fee. You're spending a ridiculous amount on development. You're sinking. Your project is sinking. It's at the bottom of the ocean. 10-5. Get a fucking developer. World class, great rate. Let's go.
Thank you.
See you next week, Rich.